turn it for years, you know?
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Staff Board of Trustees meeting for Thursday, May 16th, of 2024. The first thing I'll do is I will call roll. Susan Ainsley, Wolfgang Homer, Carolyn Greenwald, and Ronnie Hardaway is here too, all here. And the staff are here also. So today we will start with Mike Scott. Mike, what's going on?
The big item was last Thursday we had that stormwater class here, and then we had went out in the field afterwards to take a look at the Lansing Trails 2 stormwater pond and the Millcroft 1, so to speak, stormwater pond. I thought it was excellent. It was great because John Dunkel was here personally. All of the experience I've had with him has been through some type of webinar or via Zoom, something like that, where you're basically looking at an overview of how items happen. It was nice here because the guys were here, we were able to ask specific questions for our facilities.
Right.
And you'll have to ask them, but I learned an awful lot from it. And the questions in the field of what we had to do. His conclusion with the Lansing Trails 2 ponds, he said it definitely needed a little bit of love. And the Millcroft pond wasn't as bad. He was okay with that one. It just needed a little bit of some maintenance. It also gave me a chance to ask items like the ponds at Shannon Park, places like that where you don't have the original as-bills, the original conditions that it should be, and asked his advice on that. Basically, he was saying that take a little bit of engineer's advice, but to make sure that they stay cleaned out so they have some benefit.
Right.
And that one definitely needs some cleaning out.
Right.
That is just loaded with muck and cattails. So, like I said, it was beneficial.
I was going to ask about that class. So when we clean out something like that, is that something we do as a village, or do
We did.
Okay.
Balserio had the long stick up to East Point doing some stormwater ponds that Mike had requested them to do. And so we capitalized on that excavator being there. It's long stick, and it was reached way out past had a 50-foot reach.
Okay, good. All right.
On East Point, they had an issue where they had outside water that was contaminating or coming into their stormwater system, which it's not atrocious, but it's just all it is working their stormwater system more than it needs to be. So it required them to fix it, and like John said, Nick went up there and he took care of that.
Okay. Good deal.
I don't have much more. I've been doing a lot of fire inspections, and I've been getting to kind of the meat of the issue, and that is the multi-unit buildings going around. It's in some cases I was a little surprised at how poor condition some facilities are, but also I was kind of surprised in the other direction that I was very happy that a lot of the inside of the apartments or whatnot, which they allowed me to go into, a few of them were in really good condition. Now, yes, they probably directed me into some of them that were probably better than others, but still, if that's, that condition is average, then, it's not bad. It's better than I thought in some cases. Some items on the planning board, I won't go too far into it, Susan, so you can. Some upcoming items, Taco Bell is going to be giving me the information to come to the planning board for going into the Pizza Hut facility. I believe I mentioned that before. I've also just received the paperwork for storage facility, and also spoke with the gentleman that'll be running it for going into the whole strip of Dick's all the way over to Best Buy. I will send out the information that they're giving me to the Board of Trustees, When I picture a storage facility, I picture just a line of garage doors. This seems to be something different. They've tried this in the Midwest, and they've also tried this in the South. It's more of, yes, there's storage facilities and everything, but they're also looking to have some office space for small businesses so that they can actually use some of the storage facilities to hold
orders.
equipment or whatnot.
Right, okay.
They had told me that they had had success in the South with, say, construction companies who needed added workspace or whatnot. So it's gonna be somewhat unique from what's around here. As soon as I get more details, I'll make sure I send them out. Then again, when they do come and present, if you want to take a look at the planning board, video, that would probably be helpful.
Yeah, thank you. That's an interesting concept. I've never heard of it.
The last thing I had is the planning board is going over the tree law. We had Dan Siegel from the Plantsman in here this last meeting, kind of giving some advice from a professional to let the planning board the planning board was bouncing questions off of him, species of trees and whether shrubs should be counted in the units. There's just a lot of questions. I'd advise you to take a look at the planning board video just to get a full list. Well, Kathleen, you were here. It's just, it was very informational. He was very helpful.
That's great. Glad to hear that.
So, and that's kind of what I have. If someone else has questions for me. I get off that easy.
No, well, the typical question are any progress on any of the proposed developments, Beers, Bomax Drive, et cetera?
Nothing from Beers, nothing for Uptown.
Okay.
I did have a call from Alex Beergold about the 20 Bomax, the Tetra Tech PDA. They're putting that on hold because they're looking at that corner property that's to the east of there.
Okay, all right. See if they can consolidate it into a,
And do something with that.
yeah, that's interesting.
That's all I really got on that.
Okay, well, that's fine. That's plenty. Any questions for Mike? Okay, John?
It seems like we had a pretty busy month. We finished the salt barn, poured concrete in it. Tinned it. Monday, the contractor installed overhead doors in it. We've been doing a lot of inventory on the materials that we purchased to get ready for the project and going over the new material purchase to finish the rest of the project. Been going over a lot of contracts for Dart Drive, Graham Road, working on final change orders for the sewer at Cuba Heights benefit sewer extension. It's been busy. We got the road swept, crack sealed. The retention pond was unbudgeted, but I capitalized on that excavator being there, and it's a good thing. The pond was not built correctly. As we cleaned it out, we started noticing there's a lot of wrongdoings there that the developer made. I called Brent to kind of pick his brain. It was like a 2003 project.
Okay.
That transpired. I started here in 2005, and then I remember some of it being built. The forebay was the same elevation as the permanent pool. So we had to dig through the dike and install a low control orifice that's about 18 inches lower than the outlet on the control. So, and then we raised the berm up on the forebay, and it really came out nice. We worked on it 2 days. We worked late because they had to pull the excavator out last night. But we got it done, and I took a bunch of pictures. I sent them to Angel at the county. They sometimes have grass seed that they just give away, so I'm looking to get some grass seed off them.
Okay.
Finish it up. It needs a little grading around there, but there was a lot of interest. One of the things that I found most interesting there at that class was fences around pools, fences around stormwater practices. And they said they're dangerous. Stormwater practices are dangerous because they hold water, but then they showed people climbing up over the fence and this and that, and it was hard for aquatic animals or, turtles to be able to traverse through the fence. And they talked about that. So the fences are just basically, there's no guidelines in the new manual for fences, so it doesn't look like we'll need to install them under this current section of the DEC guidebook.
Okay.
But it came out really nice, really happy. We were, I think we hauled about 14, 15 loads of spoils out of there.
Wow.
And
Substantial.
yeah, so, and we basically redesigned the whole pond, and we had to get the engineering involved in there to make sure we weren't lessening the volume that was in the pond. But it was interesting because our contractor we hire does a lot of work, stormwater work for Cornell, and he was here. Cornell asked him to be here. Angel's really, I think it was very educational for her too. I think everybody learned something. Dryden was here, Town of Ithaca was here. It was a good kind of a mixed breed of people from all walks of life, explaining their differences and experiences along their path. But not sure I budgeted enough money if we're reconstructing ponds,
I understand.
Cleaning is one thing, like for instance, Beckett Way Pond might need a 4-bay installed to really kind of take the sediment out so the whole pond doesn't have to experience the sediment, So there's just a lot of redesigns in there. We really don't have a lot of as-builts for the ponds, which makes it very difficult to go back and understanding how they're working. So it's kind of getting engineers involved, getting Brent, questioning him, because he's been with the village for a very long time and knows a lot of the stormwater. So, but in the end, I think we made a pond, a more functioning pond, and it was worth it, so.
What's the average life of a pond once you've cleaned it and done that much engineering work?
I think the first initial construction phasing is where you're getting your most sediment. I would think that you could get 10 years out of them, because once everything's established, stabilized, all your ditches are stabilized. But one of the things that we noticed is we're really gonna have to come down on the contractors or developers who do these ponds, that they have to come back and inspect them. And because after, like I said, that first year after construction, you have very minimal stabilization of the lawns and ditches and whatnot. That's when you're getting your most sediment in there.
Okay.
And once you get that first flush, that's where then the pond becomes ineffective and the damage migrates to the second part of the pond, So it takes twice as much to gather. So I would think 10 years, and I think once we get them established, what we're doing is doing some record retention on them.
Good.
And we're documenting them, and we're sending that on to Mike. Donnie's gonna do a brief summary of what we did. So we lowered the pond 18 inches from its original point. And the depth is a factor because you need that convection, you need that turning of that pond, just the nature's way of cleaning the pond. And we learned that, in there. And so there's a certain depth requirement they need for that. And dry ponds, we still have a fair number of dry ponds that just take the storm water and then just dissipate it, evaporate it, and then dissipate it through the other mechanisms and how they need to be cleaned and stuff like that.
When are you coming to Beckett Way?
What's that?
When are you coming to Beckett Way?
That was in next year's budget, so it's gonna be after June. I wanna do it soon because I wanna, that one there is.
Can you send me an email before you come?
I will. That one there is gonna be a tough one. It predates the stormwater regulations.
Right.
And how do we make that a functioning pond correctly. One of the things that was very clear to us is the difference between aesthetic ponds and properly working ponds.
Right.
There's a large difference there. We had so many people walking by and taking bets, I mean, literally bets, that one gentleman was gonna have to vacuum his house for the next 30 days, yeah, a month, that he was right and she was wrong, so.
Because of when you dug into the pond, you created that much dust?
No, it's just that, what are we doing to the pond? Are we making it like a swimming pool or something for the people, or filling it in, or making rock? It was just a kind of a joke, running joke, but
But like at the house next to the pond on Beckett Way, are they gonna have,
we totally cleaned everything up. We washed the roads, there's nothing.
okay,
We washed the roads down, we took a hose adapter up to the hydrant and flushed the equipment off, we swept, we did everything. Actually, the whole site looks fantastic, other than the disruption of the lawns getting there. But one of the largest things that was,
John,
what's that?
are you sure?
Is there complaints?
I was just walking by.
There might be a little bit on the deck.
Inspecting the pond,
Huh?
inspecting the pond, and there is a lot of dirt from the excavator loading this morning.
Oh, yeah, yeah, but we had no control about that, but last night it looked good. Last night the area looked good. We had to park the excavator somewhere, and we could not get all the mud off the tracks.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
The scary part of that pond, John's talking about that they just cleaned out, is you had, it come to find out they shot that, and the overflow spillway, like that pond filled up, it spills over the edge and comes down through the whole water system. That was actually higher than the road level, so the water would have run down.
yeah, it would actually go into,
Never filled up, so it was a good thing they went in there and take a look at it.
it would actually go into a different drainage corridor. That was the scary part of it all. But, you know, whenever you experience something like that, instead of testing by quality control, I would appreciate a call. Because when you guys are our second help, you need a business card, or you gotta?
why not?
For myself.
I have your number, but it's
Yeah,
okay.
but no, I appreciate a call. I mean, call me. Ronnie calls me if he sees, you know, everybody calls. Jody calls, Mike calls. If you see something in the road that we can clean up. Because we were down busy with the sewer project this morning. We haven't had a time to go back up and inspect it. I had stopped by this morning and looked at it. Everything looked great. But I know they were pulling the excavator out first thing in the morning. I should have went back up, so it's my fault. But anyway, so, back to, we changed the culvert out on Cuba Heights Road. There was a failed culvert down there. We, fixed the storm, pipe that was damaged in 2005, and I don't know how it ever got through. The pipe had been crushed. It had been inspected, and then it got crushed sometime after, before they paved, Trip Hammer Road. So we went in there under the catch basin cleaning and jetting process that we did last fall and into the winter. They noticed that one catch basin wasn't draining. So we did some televised dealing in there and found out the pipe was crushed, and we did surgery on it a couple weeks ago. I was really impressed because Trip Hammer's super busy. And to be able to set lane closures and still keep traffic moving, actually traffic backed all the way up past the office from Pyramid Drive's construction, but it was only for a brief time.
Yeah.
And you know, everybody did really good. We poured, like I said, we poured the concrete in the lean-to, and we poured our light pole bases for the street lighting on Dart Drive. That was our part that we had to do, is manufacture them. Those are done. We have had a meeting on the pre-construction meeting on the project, and they're finishing up some jobs, and they just haven't been able to get here yet. They were gonna relocate some plantings on the job before it gets too late, and you can't do that. So I guess there's every intent to still do that. But that's all I really have for now. Any questions?
I have two questions.
Okay.
So it was raining on Friday, so that's your mow day, right?
Yeah.
So then when is the mowing scheduled for?
They mowed,
Did you mow Shannon Park?
We didn't mow Shannon Park.
Yeah, it looks crazy.
yeah,
Tomorrow we'll be there.
Okay.
yeah. So what happened was,
Well, it's growing like mad
Yeah,
this year.
it is.
It's never been faster than this year.
yeah. Their production time was dropped a little
Second
bit.
question is, the paving starts the 20th?
Well, it's 21st now, it got
Okay.
changed.
So, the number of days of paving,
They're thinking like 3.
that's amazing. Okay, great.
Still plan on the week, and
Yeah.
that's pretty
Yeah.
much,
That's, I mean,
just
it's
in
not
case.
3 months, it's 3 days.
But it's gonna be in, it's gonna be in a milled state because it's a 2 budget year cycle. The topping was out of this coming budget. And so the first stage, next week it's a lot of work because we got to dig around every manhole. There's like 40 new manholes in that road. So once we dig around the manholes, they're gonna be paving and milling milling in front of the paver. And we're gonna help clean around the manholes with them. And then once we get the binder down, we're gonna let it set for a couple days, and that'll be June, and we're scheduling the top course soon after that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So,
All right,
it's bad down there. Avoid it if you can,
yeah.
you know. That's all I have. Any other questions, concerns? Thank you.
I have two.
Okay.
Lead service lines. What's the progress on lead service lines?
I reached out to Village of Hugo Heights Tuesday to see what their procurement, how they did that.
Right?
That's my biggest, there's no bids out there. There's no county, state
No,
bids on vac trucks.
right.
So I was wondering how they're working. I didn't really get a clear answer, but it sounded to me like they were using each job under $5,000. Each specific service line under 5,000, you only need 2 verbals. Because there's only a few suppliers out there that do that.
Okay, and so they're treating each individual property as one work, one job.
One job, one RFQ.
Do we have an idea yet of how many of those jobs we would have?
How many?
many?
We're down to 96.
That's 96 uncertains, right?
Yep.
And so have we found any that are certainly lead?
No, they found 2 or 3 over there, they said. They said we found 2 to 3 lead service lines over there. Hugo Heights has been in the municipal side of things a lot longer. They're
Yeah.
really old.
They've got more.
So they got a lot of old infrastructure.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that goes throughout their system.
It's on our radar between the stormwater and the lead service line.
The lead service lines have to be completed by the end of next year, right?
It's all by this year, October of this year. That's why it's so critical.
Yeah, it is critical then. Okay, I was thinking it was 25.
So they have to be documented, or you have to send notifications out, publish notifications. I guess it gets real complicated. So,
Okay.
so the deadline before you have to start sending notifications out to property owners is October.
Okay, so we need to try to identify by October.
Absolutely.
Okay, but then I think we have another year after that.
Yep.
to actually implement any that we have to replace.
That's correct.
Okay, all right.
Our biggest thing that we're searching right now is, I was able to get on the county's laser fiche. That's I spent a couple days doing that,
Okay.
just going through there and looking through documents. I'm really shocked, there wasn't a lot of documents on there compared to what we used to have. It was I just feel like they all didn't get scanned. I don't know anything about it, but,
They're not,
Miscategorized.
properties are not in there yet.
oh.
All properties, if you need a certain property, let me know. I have.
Okay, so my biggest thing is to go to the original plats. That's the biggest thing. Because going to the onesie twosie homes that get developed, they don't, like, Mike doesn't issue the water plumbing permit for that. It goes to Gold Point.
Okay,
And if it didn't get documented there, in here, then I have nothing to search.
right.
So it's very, very vague. And then trying to come to the original creator of the development, like,
Find
you
it.
have Shannon Park, right? I mean, there was somebody else before, it was named something else before that, Millcroft or something, that's the battles you're facing.
Right.
Like there's Pittsburgh development and all that other stuff.
If all of those avenues fail, what's the final solution?
Dig every one of them up.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of.
Yeah. And I looked,
Have any information on the ones that are older than when we started?
I emailed Mike to search the record. Like I said in one of the meetings, if they had something prior to the village's creation, 1974, just a piece of paper saying, after 1960, no lead service lines are able to be installed.
Right.
Boom, we were done.
Okay.
All you have to prove is the date the house was built,
Right, okay.
you know? So that would be the goal. So I was working with Mike and trying to get any kind of letter in code enforcement. I should maybe ask Mike to get a hold of code enforcement side, because he was looking through the records, probably on the DPW side.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder if we should go higher to get to the right person. I mean, the right pressure from their side to give us that information. Should we go up to
Ruth?
Groff, the supervisor?
I'm gonna see her on Tuesday, I can ask her.
Do you know what to ask?
Yeah, if they have the records for when the houses were built, and we'll let.
Okay, all right, just making sure.
If I was listening,
No.
Well, the biggest thing is if you can get a plat that said, in even a note, all service lines installed are copper.
Right.
Boom, that whole development's ruled right out.
For instance, the town, at some point, the town had to have made a decision that no lead service lines would be installed from that point on. Is there any record of that somewhere?
I could definitely ask her that question.
Yeah, so within the,
That's the ticket. If you can find a letter, a resolution, or a local law that they've done, I don't know if they do local laws up
I doubt
there.
that they have a letter or a resolution, but there might be a date.
there might be a date somewhere, yeah, okay.
It needs to be official.
Be part of the minutes.
Yeah, it needs to be official.
Yeah, official minutes.
It needs to be official.
Yeah.
It's like she said. But like Highgate, for instance, I can guarantee you there's not a lead service line in there, but I can't prove it. We have dug some up. We know that when that development went in, we have the plat for it. Plat doesn't specify anything about copper service lines. And we're gonna have to dig every
You
one.
can't go by just the date?
No, until you have that letter. If you have that letter, bingo, we got it.
What dates are you looking at? Before the village was formed? Yes?
It's like 1965, I think, is the letter. It's definitely huge. Right, I mean, you should see what they're going through in Cuba Heights. Those-
I can only,
Texas, I mean, they're so developed there, a lot of that infrastructure, they're sitting on rock. Most of that stuff's sitting on rock.
Yeah.
Same here in the village.
yeah, it is. Yeah,
And their lots, look at their lots are like a half an acre. I mean, we have 1 acre lots at least, so it reduces the amount of services you have. But there's like 30 services on Highgate that we need to locate. If we could get that one letter, boom, 30 services are out.
okay, yeah.
So what we're doing now is we have already asked the Tompkins County Health Department. We've already asked them. Now we're going to the planning department, and there is you can search it as a guest on there. It's IQS search in the county I live, but it's something else here in this county. You can search the old records, plats.
Okay.
The biggest thing is to find the plats. And then if the plats are vague like Highgate, then you're kind of in a pickle again.
Okay.
Highgate would be awesome if we could get any information on Highgate. There's some like Sheridan Drive there's 2 properties on Sheridan Drive that are, I mean, there's only 2 properties on there, you know, CFCU and the Trip Hotel, I think is what it's called.
Yeah,
I mean, that's probably got a fire service in there, you know, more than anything.
right,
And then there's 3 right here on Trip Hammer
okay,
that are gonna be really tough, because it's all macadam up through here.
right. Okay,
That's our biggest thing, stormwater, lead service lines, and then paving, we contract out anyway.
right, okay. Just keep on it, and if there's anything you would need from me,
Ruth could be a nice asset, the planning department up there, if they have any records.
She just started attending Bolton Point, and I think she got her first taste of lead service lines. She's probably not knowledgeable enough, but she could actually say, let's try this person and that person. She's learning and she's going along, so it might be a good, might be a good activity.
Town of Ithaca got that letter and then just basically took everything right off the plate.
Right, so we just,
Something happened to Town of Lansing, took everything right off their plate. I don't know what it is.
okay,
They got rid of everything. But TG Miller works for the Town of Lansing, and they know what, if they could have used that mechanism in the village, they would have. But they're doing a lot of our research on it.
okay, good. So, well, if the town has something,
They had something to get rid of it, because they were up to, I think, 3 digits, maybe 100, 120.
well, if they had something, a date that was before, when the village was still part of the town, if it worked for them, that same document might work for us.
Right,
So if they found something, we need to ask them if we could see a copy of that.
right. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was that letter or something sort like that.
Right.
Village was incorporated basically in 1974.
Yeah.
So all our records did not,
Move.
yeah.
Yeah, they weren't migrated into the village, yeah.
So, but anyway, that's huge on our list this year. I mean,
Yeah. The other,
what was your second question?
the other question was the traffic cameras, are they installed yet?
Yeah,
Okay,
still waiting on the cameras. I mean,
okay,
the lady from AT&T has been, like, she needs that IME number from them cameras so she can get them chips, static chips.
right,
I've been seeing emails float around,
okay, that's all I had.
yeah. And they're not, I mean, right now, we wouldn't use them that much anyway, so we're not.
No, but
Buttons.
I want to keep on top of it. We
Yeah.
want to install it before it's winter.
Yeah, right. Any other questions?
Would it help if I looked up here at the old, in our
We
plan?
went in there one day and looked around, but we're gonna probably,
It was called like Catherwood, wasn't it? Didn't you tell me it was called the Catherwood Development, Highgate was?
yeah, something like that, yeah, Catherwood. What was the other development that you lived in? Shannon Park, what was that before?
I think
Who was the developer?
Dick Schulman, Audrey Edelman,
Oh,
anyway, there were 5 of them.
5 of them.
George selected the engineering.
And I think that's the plans that we have,
I seen the plans in there for that.
yeah.
Because I don't think it was called anything else but Shannon Park.
Okay, yeah.
If you would talk with Ruth and then get me involved if you need to for any reason, or
Anything you-
call me too if she has questions, and I'll be the interface temporarily before we get rid of John. And so, thank you.
And we did have a meeting with, I think I might have reported it, I think it was last month, the Youngs on the sewer extension.
Right.
And people.
I just asked me how much the job will cost, because I was gonna tell him, like, your 900,000 was not what you thought your 900,000 was gonna be.
Yeah.
You just asked me that, like, on Tuesday.
It's like 4.6,
That's what I told him.
yeah.
He asked it in a different way. He was asking about, because what's happening with trail grants right now is that people are putting in grant requests, and then they're getting their grant, and then they're like, oops, sorry, we were off by 50, 100%, as that what we thought the cost would be. So then he said to me, just out of curiosity, for the sewer line, how close was that? I was like, off by 100%, it was double, and I was like, it's closer to 5 than 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's what's happening when people are applying for grants now. The state has, caught up to the fact that people, if you asked for something construction cost-wise 2 years ago, it's really not usable today.
No.
In terms of grant
Let's double
money.
it.
Yeah, you gotta double it. It's basically,
One of the things that
they don't wanna give you the money unless you really have the money for the whole project now, so,
Yes,
yeah.
you've got to
Which
have
makes
twice
sense.
the money before they'll give you the half that they're.
You have, right, so what they're doing now with trail grants in particular is you have to have the land, and you have to have accurate engineer, costs. So, or else they're saying no to.
one of the things that was concerning to me on the trails was, how do they do the stormwater protection, stormwater prevention plan?
Well, they're so far from that, but the answer is gonna be engineering.
Oh, Okay. I'm just worried that they're gonna start, because once you disturb more than so many acres, right? Doesn't take long to chisel off an acre
I mean, it'll be engineered.
Yeah.
Engineered, so hopefully the right person will be doing the planning.
It's like a small street,
Yeah,
basically, yeah.
yeah.
That's all I have, so.
Okay, Chris,
Trying to keep up with the mowing.
Rain doesn't help.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Just cleaning up equipment from the pond, because that was a mess, big mess. Other than that, he said everything.
Nick?
You stole what thunder I had left. I just got my truck cleaned from the pond ordeal, so that's why I'm still wet.
You look like you've done some sun.
Yeah, a little bit of that too.
You guys
Where did you find it?
guys budgeted for sunblock?
No,
Well, I think you should add that.
Poison oak, though.
Look at your neck.
It's probably,
that's where I come from.
That's always red.
it's probably poison oak.
No, that's sunburn, that's sun, that's sun. You look like you've been outside too.
There's a lot of acreage back there to cover.
Sounds stuffy, too.
Anyway, I say sunblock in the budget. We can afford that one,
I haven't gotten the store yet.
and maybe a hat.
Okay.
Straw hat.
Anything else for DPW? Jody?
The new tax bills were just delivered today. So those will be going out soon. Just the usual.
Okay. Did everyone have a chance to look at the vouchers? Or any questions about? I will move that we approve the vouchers, pay the bills. Someone seconds?
Second.
Susan seconds. No discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Jody. So we'll go around the table. Carolyn?
I have a couple of things. So first, the Trails Committee is presenting to the board, the town board, just because they have 3 new members who don't really know that there's even been a Trails Working Group. And so they asked for like a little PowerPoint presentation. That is gonna be, now Wolfgang, are you covering the town meetings right now? So that's gonna be
Planning to.
June 26th. So if you don't wanna go, I'm gonna go. It's up to you. I mean, you can still go.
See,
Say the date again.
June 26th.
26th, okay.
So I'm gonna go to that town meeting, they're gonna have a little presentation. So they wanted just support for this, just say, hey, the community's behind trails, and they asked various organizations, and they also asked us if we would write a letter, and someone created a draft letter, which I then edited, showed it to Ronnie, and I've showed it to Natalie, and I just thought Ronnie was gonna sign it, but he wants all of you guys to see it too. So it just says, trails are great for exercise and transportation, and we are supportive of your, building a trail. So that letter is gonna come to you by email, and hopefully Ronnie will sign it on Monday.
Yeah, we'll discuss that on Monday. The important thing of that letter is the last paragraph where I say, I hope that either jointly or individually.
I added that, if you don't like that, we could just take that out.
No, that's good, because we need to apply for grants.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the grants are better received if it's from a
Correct.
multi-jurisdictional aspect. So we might have individual grants for just our trails, but something like a connecting trail that could be large, then we could apply.
And also the TAP grant that Dryden got for the bridge across 13 was funded because it was presented as an alternative transportation mode, so you could use it as a commuter mode. So we're gonna try to do the same thing here, saying that you can commute from the town to a job like at the mall, for example, or whatnot.
Yeah, with a bicycle.
The trail.
Yeah.
So that's,
That's another issue, and as part of, what I was going to say today is Safe Streets for All. It will allow us to potentially get larger grants
yeah.
from the federal side, so try to do that too. So those will end in 26. I don't know if the Safe Streets for All will be extended beyond then, but we'll just have to wait and see. But in the meantime, we're working on trying to get that for the whole county.
Okay, so that's my first topic. My next topic is rec partnership. So at our last meeting, it was a rec partnership budget meeting, and they talked about whether they want to maintain effort Or do they want to like increase their programming? So I asked the question of, well, where are you hearing about holes and gaps in your programming? And they were like, not really. So then I said, well, due to the fact that, you know, people are kind of up in arms about the taxes and everything, like maybe we just maintain effort, or why don't you show us a budget that looks like maintaining the effort or going up like a 2%. So that's what we had tasked them with as the representatives, like let's just kind of status quo, and how much money would that require? I just want to let you all know, just for, by way of, we are responsible, I think, for 2 or 3% of their budget, and it's $19,422. Then I got this email from Kate, who is the director, asking me to ask you a question about, asking how you feel about the budget, so I just want to read this too. She's writing to say that the Tompkins County Administrator is not recommending a COLA increase for the 2025 county contracts. This is important to note because the county's portion of the rec partnership is included in this group of contract. What this means, historically, the contracts are given a 2% COLA increase, and then after that, if they seek anything on top of that, it's from the county's over-target request, OTR process, which gives them the rest of their increase. Partnership recommendation was a 10% increase over the prior year's budget. The county's portion was given a 2% increase outside of the OTR process, but we then had to submit and advocate for an additional 8% through the OTR, and then they got it. They got all the money they asked, but 2 was easy and 8 was hard. But this year, it's all gonna be on the hard side. So this year, you asked the staff to create 2 budgets, the maintenance of effort and the maintenance of effort plus 2%. The last few years, that's translated to a percentage increase of between 6 to 8% over the prior year. So just to maintain effort, you need more money because whatever,
Cost of
there's
everything's
increases.
going up, yeah.
Given that the Tompkins County legislator did not support a COLA increase this year, any additional funding will come from the county over what was allocated during the budget process, and it'll be done totally through OTR. It is my recommendation that the rec partnership board request that staff create an additional budget that would be a flat budget, so not maintaining effort, just keeping the money the same, or something smaller than maintaining effort, just going up 3 to 4%. In addition, and this is why I'm asking you guys, I would like each of you to reach out to your municipality to gauge their appetite for what size percentage increase they're comfortable with for the 2025 budget. So that's what I'm asking you. So at the meeting, we proposed maintenance of effort or maybe 2% more. Now they're proposing not maintenance of effort, just the same budget, which would be a decrease in services, or something below maintenance of effort, maybe a 4 or 5%. And then how do we feel about those numbers? So I feel like it's $19,000, so when you go up 5%, it's not a huge increase for us. But that's what I'm asking you guys. How do you feel about this question? I think when I asked them where are the holes, and they didn't really have any, then I was just like, then just maintain effort. Because your programs are well received, and you're not seeing like, oh gosh, we really need, there's nobody to, you know, we just need more blank. They didn't have an answer for that. So then I'm like, okay, then we're good. But do you want them to go down? Do you want them to stay the same? Like, are we happy with our 19,000? If our 19,000 went up 5%, how much would that be, Jody? You can't do that off the top of your head?
540.
That'd be, yeah, so I think we're probably okay with that also.
How's everyone else feel?
Do they have wait lists? You know,
I asked them if they felt like they weren't providing services and there was a critical need, and they didn't really say. Some programs are full, but they didn't really say like, gosh, we need to add 12 more, you know, karate classes.
Staffing, you know, there are holes in their
They
staffing.
didn't seem to indicate that they were having.
I just, you know, $1,000, I mean, just maintain what we've.
The maintenance of effort we're in favor of, which is now the third.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say maintenance, unless they can show that they have the staffing capacity and there's documented the need.
Right, they didn't seem to say that they had the need, which is what I was getting the message from.
Yeah, for our feedback, they haven't provided any indication that they need anything above maintenance of effort.
Right, okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
So I agree with that.
Okay.
Is that fine with everyone else?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Okay?
Well, you know, along these lines, if I look at Joint Youth Commission, your youth services, recreation partnership, whatever. I think there is so much wasted money. There could be one point organizing all these programs.
I totally agree.
And look at really, because what I see based on the meeting minutes you send around, things like that, they do all exactly the same. They address the same, organizations behind the whole thing, providing all the services. They don't talk to each other, so, the whole thing is, in my opinion, too fragmented,
Yeah, I agree.
by far.
But I do think that the rec partnership is, of the three, probably the most utilized and best organized.
Yes.
So
I agree with you, Caroline. Based on what I see.
they go to they run Tot Spot, which is amazing. They do the swim lessons, they do the Kiwanis baseball, so they do a lot. They come into the schools.
I completely agree with you, I think
I totally agree with you, too. So,
the least used.
Yeah.
Of all of them.
yeah,
But in my opinion, it's too fragmented,
yeah,
honestly.
100%. Okay, so that problem we can't solve, but this problem we can solve. We're saying maintenance, we're comfortable with maintenance of effort. Okay, excellent.
And solve it by keep the budget flat.
Comfortable with maintenance.
Pay for both, right?
What do you mean?
Rec partnership and joint youth commission, we pay what, over $37,000 or something?
And it should be one.
So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I could raise that, I could raise that point, say, like, let's talk more about consolidation. Because I think I need to raise that to Yolanda and Kate and some of the people who are, say, what do you guys, have you guys thought about this? A structural change, which would take a couple years, but it's definitely necessary. So, yeah, we're gonna suggest that, say, yeah, this is our suggestion, is that you look towards consolidation.
Really the best way to drive that is keep the budget flat. Then they run out of money, then they need different solutions and probably a little bit more creative solutions.
That's actually-
Typically, you can take the budget discussions to drive some necessary change.
Hopefully that's what's gonna happen this week. Okay, thank you. So next, I just want to mention that we're continuing to work on the comprehensive plan, and when I told Mike this, but I didn't tell Jody and John, so our goal with the comprehensive plan committee is to have our questions for both businesses and residences done by fall. So we're not in a rush, but we are gonna work on those throughout the summer, and I will ask each of the three of you to review our first draft and provide, questions. So think about things that we want to ask the businesses. We have the old surveys here for the businesses. Okay, so there's been, going back 2 comp plans, we have a residential survey. Going back 1 comp plan, there was no residential survey, there was a business survey only. We have that business survey. So those are the 2 old things, and you can see just from the questions that we're gonna be asking different questions now. So just thinking about what you want to ask, and I'm really trying to emphasize with everyone that I don't want to get into the weeds. I really want to be hitting just the highlights. We can't ask every single minutia question and have like a 14-page questionnaire. It's going to be hopefully shorter. Hopefully we will have a space in the end for people to add additional things. But I think with this group and asking all of you, we're going to be able to cover the hot topics. So look for something from me asking for your feedback when we're ready. Okay, lastly, well, there's a small issue and a bigger issue. The bigger issue is the solar code came back to me from Mike, and I'm still really not comfortable with it. The decommissioning plan required for residential requires a bond, and I just don't want to ask somebody to put up a bond. I just can't get past that. And if you don't have a bond, then you have a decommissioning plan, but you don't necessarily have a way to enforce it. So I have a lot of questions about that plan, and maybe, can we talk about it on Monday? Can we put that on the agenda for Monday? I'll send you guys Mike's version. You're looking at me like maybe not. Do we have time on Monday? I want to send you guys Mike's version. And then I really am just still kind of very stuck on how onerous it is for a homeowner to put solar panels on their roof. I just don't feel like they need to put up a bond and have a document signed by an attorney and an engineer. I just feel like it's a lot. Mike, I was wondering if you are free. I have some questions about things that maybe aren't necessary, and maybe I could talk to you. It's like, I'm just even questioning, like, we have all these restrictions about on the roof placement, like this many inches and that many inches, and how many of that is just arbitrary and how many of that is like required by fire code. So I was wondering if maybe I can come in and you can tell me don't even worry about this, Carolyn, because it has to be in. And then I won't worry that it's too onerous.
Okay,
But if
sometime next week or something.
Yeah, okay. All right. Then the last tiny little issue
Wait a minute,
is,
so if you're not meeting with him until next week, do you still want it on the agenda?
are you free on Monday? Earlier in the day?
I think I have morning inspections, maybe noon or something like that.
Okay, sure, that's fine. Let me just check real quick. Monday. The right Monday. Yeah, I can do that. Okay, the last tiny little issue is, I don't know if you want to wrap this into maybe the comprehensive plan program, but I was thinking maybe we can get a focus group together to talk about redoing our village logo. I really think it's very childish with those trees that look like somebody drew them as a 5-year-old. And I would like to update our logo. We can make that like a comprehensive plan goal, or we can just start working on it. But I don't know if other people feel the same way about those trees, but.
Well, I mean, honestly, I haven't paid attention to,
Well, you've got a business card right there, take a look.
no, I don't.
No, I didn't give that
You
one.
didn't get one.
It's just for the people that
Oh,
are.
here's the letter that Ronnie didn't sign. Here.
Complain all the time.
Those trees, just, and that bird, like, why is it, I don't know. I think we should redo our logo.
I guess I never looked at it. I see,
You don't like the seagulls then?
I dislike the trees immensely, because I really feel like it looks like when you're 5 and you don't know how to draw a tree, you do 2 lines and squiggle, squiggle, squiggle.
How would you draw one now?
So I don't know, I wonder if people want to just wrap that into the comprehensive plan, or
It
have a
was quite a
focus.
topic a few years ago when Jerry come in, Jerry Monahan, he's.
He was like, this logo is not okay.
But
He would be a good one to talk to.
Yeah, he could be on my focus
he
group.
already had started the wheel on
Oh,
it.
he did?
Yeah.
Okay, so then, sounds like you guys want me to talk to Harry.
new,
So,
Pat?
I like the double L. I like the double L. I don't mind the font.
see, that's the part that I don't like.
Oh, you don't like the
I don't
Well,
think Jerry liked that either.
Oh, okay, well, I'm not the double L dictator.
The-
As long as we get rid of the trees.
You Ronnie, you
As long as we get rid of the trees.
Yeah.
The problem, one of the problems at the time was there was so much that would have to be.
You know you want to
We would have to
Yeah.
have things reprinted.
All letterhead.
He said she doesn't have that much paper left. I already asked
Oh,
her.
it's all on the computer.
If,
I mean, our cards, but we can just use those with that logo until we order them again.
yes,
We don't have to order new and throw the old out.
so, okay, Carolyn.
right, so I did,
That wood engraved sign is probably the most the valuable part of the flop.
I'm also okay with it just as the new stuff gets put in, we don't have to take out the old.
right.
And especially if it's a variation on this, you know what I mean? If we say sort of. Anyway,
It
I'm
doesn't- it
I'm
doesn't hurt-
sensing
it doesn't hurt
enthusiasm.
To come up with ideas and see if we can arrive at some kind of consensus about it.
Okay, I'm sensing enthusiasm for a logo change, I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Definitely openness, enthusiasm is,
I'm creating enthusiasm for it. Okay, that's all I have.
thanks, Carolyn. All right. Susan,
Planning board. I second Mike's suggestion that we actually look at the planning board presentation that Dan Siegel, it was probably a good 45 minutes, but he presented it in a very clear and concise way, a huge body of,
Although we're all gonna watch it later, can you just give us the highlights?
no, because I'm not Dan Siegel.
Just the highlights.
Well, the highlights for me, probably in terms of developers coming in and the tree law and what trees are recommended. or-
Yeah, like what trees are recommended?
Well, that's the point, you know, basically, it's site-driven. Is that a good way to explain it? And warranting the trees and making sure, like, the difference between arborists and landscapers and their responsibility in the process. I mean, well, like Black Chin, talked a lot about Black Chin, in terms of what was appropriate for that particular site, and you can't plant a tree on bedrock. so they use grasses instead. So it really opened up the conversation about tree law, and what it really means practically, given, the soils here may be different than there within a lot. You may have to blast to put a foundation in here, but next door you don't. So, it was just very informative.
It's not a one-size-fits-all for the,
Yes.
even within the village.
I could definitely see that.
You have a shallow bedrock as you go down through the slopes down here, so you really can't have any deep base roots or anything like that. And then you come up to the eastern section of the village and you have a lot more moisture. You have a better layer of topsoil, but it stays consistently wet up in here. So there's not a one-size-fits-all for everybody. You have to take each special permit or each tree analysis individually for each unit.
Yeah.
Did they think of reaching out to Dave Fernandez? He's been in this village forever, planting trees.
To work together.
Because I talked to Dave when that tree law first came in, he mentioned something to me, and I said, well, I didn't have anything to do with it. He says, there's so many flaws in it.
Well, exactly. Is the old tree list that's buried someplace, or where's that tree list that?
The tree list was for,
Like
Try
20
the
years?
Greenway,
Yeah.
or the tree planting program.
Yeah, those trees, some are invasive, or some don't do well, or if the first couple of years, and warranting it, and when it's planted, how it's watered in or not.
So it sounds like the tree planting program needs to be revamped.
Two things, like the flowering pears, they're invasive. They weren't 2005 when we put them in, but now they're invasive. You can see all the seeds that spread on the ramps of 13, they're all flowering pears. I didn't know that.
Don't mention that to Lynn, she's very upset about these pears. She mentions them every time I
She
see her.
was part of the creation of it, so.
She will. She
Don't
regrets it
tell
very
her.
much. She's very upset about the pears.
Second thing is, I usually ask Dave sometimes if somebody on the tree planting program, if somebody wants a specific tree, I usually call him. Because like for instance, a Jane Magnolia, I've never heard of a Jane Magnolia, but I called him last night about it, and he's like, good tree, really does well in all soils of the village and stuff, so he's my go-to guy, and I never dealt with a plantsman.
Well, he seems to be very patient with questions and working with homeowners, and so I think there are a lot, the tree law needs to be looked at again, and a tree that is supposed to grow X number of feet and be a shade tree, maybe it's an understory, maybe it's somebody's against spruce or cedars, but maybe as a visual barrier. Well, at East Point, I appreciate the fast-growing whatever is green, because it blocks and creates
type of
a screen.
buffer there. And you're, with the $1,250, so the planning board asked John about what it would cost to actually put a tree in and maintain it until it can establish itself. And John had come up with $1,250, and we mentioned that to Dan, and Dan goes, yeah, he goes, I would have said about 1,000, but there's people who said more or less. He goes, but that's pretty much spot on.
Add 30% to that when you require somebody to warranty it. All the people, because it's tough to plant a tree and have it survive. There's so much different soils out there. If they bid on a job, they don't know what the soil makeup is, so they usually pad that number.
But your number was pretty much spot on what he had.
Our biggest problem is the prevailing wage. When you hire somebody to plant a tree, you have to pay them 30% more labor. State required prevailing wage.
So anyway, a lot of information there, but bottom line, whatever the local growers are selling, usually are species that will do well. So if somebody wants in their heart, their whatever tree, and because it's sentimental value or whatever may not work on the site. So anyway, and the only other thing, Lansing Meadows, there's a public hearing set for the 28th to deal with their issues.
For revocation of the special permit,
Right.
He chased me down yesterday, and did
because he didn't meet the deadlines.
you tell him where I was?
Like right where you were, like.
One item on that, and I didn't specify because I figured you'd get into it, is he had until May 1st to do a list of conditions to have be granted an extension for putting in the phase 2, which are the two building 2 and 20 down here. Because he didn't meet that, he now has a stop work order on all 4 buildings. So the temporary certificate of compliance is actually no good at this point. The stop work order was to stop everything except for what was on that list meet the deadline, so that's kind of where they're at. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in.
Oh, no, perfect, because you always explain it much better than I do. You're the authority here. And you've dealt with it for long enough. And if you have my vote,
Not as long as some.
well, we're certainly hoping it gets resolved soon. Either he,
That sewer he has to relocate, that's a tough job.
well, it's a tough job. It's gotta be-
I'm just saying, he's not gonna relocate it soon, it's gonna take some time.
That needs to be taken into consideration. However, there are terms and conditions, and he knows what they are.
Anything else, Susan?
No,
Wolfgang?
Well, I sent out the summary of the town, so nothing really eventful. There was a huge discussion about trails, and obviously not all of them were on the same page. Some of them lacked knowledge a little bit more than others, so I guess that gets resolved until the June 26th meeting. So if you want to go, I don't have to.
Yeah, because they want me to go, so.
Oh, that's fine. I'm traveling probably anyway,
Yeah.
so I was not sure whether I'm back or not, but, so that's good. Yeah, obviously some problems with dogs and whatever, so.
Wait, they talked about dogs on trails?
Well, they had, I think in the village of Lansing, they found 128 not licensed.
Oh,
okay.
they weren't talking about dogs on trails.
On the
No.
numerization, they had the dog numerization a month and a half or 2 months ago.
There was a guy walking from door to door basically and checking on dogs. I saw him. And so,
God.
oh, yes, he came to my door.
yeah, so it didn't come to mind, but anyway, so, and they basically tried to figure out, who has a dog permit.
High priority.
And who not, and so 128 obviously was not registered in the village of Lansing. So, other than that, really nothing eventful impacting us. And, yeah, other than that, I don't have anything.
Thanks. Kathleen, you're new, but do you have anything?
No, other than, no, June 15th is the airport disaster drill, and I think I already mentioned that, and the first meeting at the committee is tonight, so.
Yeah,
That'll be
the Climate
the
Smart
first meeting.
tonight, okay. I have that this evening, okay. Anything else? Okay. I have a few things just to kind of keep you all updated. Mentioned the Safe Streets for All. They had their first multi-jurisdictional meeting tomorrow, which is kind of the first formal presentation of where they are to all of the municipalities, the county, the Department of Transportation, New York State Department of Transportation, et cetera. Just a formal presentation to them all. They are getting ready to turn on their public website, which would have basic information about what we're trying to do with Safe Streets for All in Tompkins County. and showed a lot of the sources of information that were used to put the information together. And they're working on the Joint Safety Action Plan, which is our current vehicle that we're working on within 4 state streets. We're required to come up with a safety action plan in order to be eligible for the Safe Streets for All federal grants. So we are in the process of putting that together. That's going to be released May of next year. And it takes so long because you have to get a lot of required information about streets, roads, intersections, where fatalities have happened across 25 years, basically, and gather information from all of the municipalities in the county about where they think they want to focus their safety action, future safety actions. So it's a lot of gathering data, presenting data, and then from that data going out into the public, getting feedback from the public. So one of the early things for us to work on, which would be John and Carolyn and I, because we were in that one-on-one discussion where we let them know what problems we had identified. They're going to release a map that shows everything that they've identified, where the fatalities have been, fatalities and/or serious injuries within the county. And we can go into any of those and look at it and make a comment, or we can add others and add a comment to that. So that will be coming up. I will, when they release that and send the information to me so that we can log in and do this, I'll let you know. It's not a requirement, it's optional for you, but do try to take a look. After that's done, and toward the end of this process, they will release that out to the public too. I think the public they'll get a little bit of comment from the public. But for right now, it's just focused on the 3 of us from the village's standpoint. So I'll let you know soon.
Ronnie?
Yeah.
From my old point, is there any educational activities planned?
Any what?
Educational activities?
Oh, yes, yeah, they will
I
have,
feel very unsafe having a Silverado next to me and the guy visibly reads his emails and not looking at the street, for example.
there is an educational component of everything, but what their first focus, at least for grants, would be is getting money to fix structural problems with streets, roads, and intersections. There will be some educational parts of that rolled out. Educational is optional. You know how this goes. People can read it or not read it.
I know how that goes, and you have to do it in schools and kindergarten and things like that.
Exactly right.
You know, I just came back from a very safe city in England, and they allow 70 miles per hour on dual carriageways through the town. And that's an extremely safe city,
Yeah.
but that was a planned city, and they basically separate pedestrians, bicycles, and traffic, and they have underpasses, overpasses, whatever they call it, red-way system, but there is no way you can introduce that here.
What city was it?
And, huh?
What city?
Keynes.
Say it again?
Milton Keynes.
Milton Keynes.
Yeah, I lived there in 2015, I lived there, my daughter is right now living there. So that's actually, but that was a planned city and built that way.
Right. And coming in after the fact and trying to implement something like that's expensive.
Forget it, you can't do that.
But there is ongoing discussion. One of my questions was, how are we going to educate deer to not jump in front of cars? Because that happens. There are certain things that we cannot prevent, but we try to educate drivers on, certain times of the day, slow down.
Well, drivers, pedestrians,
Yes.
and look at, for example, the one up there right now, crossing over to Tops with the homeless shelter over there. You would not believe how many people are not using the crossing and cross just over there on the bridge side, over to Tops with their shopping carts and things like that. So that's a disaster. and you can't do that, you know? Right. Do it anyway.
Yeah.
So you can put in whatever you want.
Yeah, you put it, no, and we're aware of that. The program is long-term. Our goal is to set a goal. The committees, we were discussing this at the multi-jurisdictional presentation. The goal is to try to get to 0 fatalities and close to 0 serious injuries by 2040. And we can slide that scale closer, it's gonna be harder, or move it out, it's still going to be hard, so we're trying to decide that. It's not a 5-year plan.
Did they identify any fatalities in the village?
There were some, I was surprised there were some, there weren't many, but.
Is that based on a long-term?
Yeah, 25 years, I think.
25 years.
Roughly 25 years. When you see the map, you can actually click on, you can zoom in and click on a point, and it will give you basic information. It should tell you where it came from and what you're looking at and what type of fatality. But if you find one that's not clear, or if it's undefined when we're looking at it, say, this needs a definition, we don't understand this, we don't remember this.
Just take, for instance, Strip Hammer was reconstructed in 2005 and 2006. If they're pulling traffic data that had a fatality in 2000, they're working off the old street infrastructure.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I would think they would take that in consideration.
Long-term, they would.
But it's beneficial for us to have a
Absolutely.
accident, because then we could say, we need assistance in
Right, but,
creating safer areas.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, I just was saying, you know, some of these have been improved, and you have to look at anything after that,
Right.
then you want to put your eggs in a basket somewhere else.
Absolutely. No, and the data can say that. You can say, okay, look, this fatality happened on this date. Well, in the meantime, this road got expanded, you know, turn lanes were put in, et cetera. We were proactive in that.
Sure.
But they still want to know that there was a fatality there and why, and so that another place that's having fatalities in their area, well, look, you know, Village of Lansing had the same problem, but they expanded this road and et cetera, and it's.
Crosswalks and all that good stuff, yeah.
So that's just kind of, we're all in the same basket, but that's why they want the individual municipalities or players within this to look at it and evaluate and provide feedback. And you probably will have a lot of feedback, so I just wanted to let you know about that. And I will, when things are released for the public and sources of information are made available, I will send it to everybody here so that you can start looking at it. And some of that will happen soon. This bigger map is going to be rolled out farther down the road, probably within a few months, so. Group of 6, Linda Woodard, Mayor Woodard distributed the current copy of the joint sewer agreement. This is the one between the city of Ithaca area wastewater treatment plant and the group of 6 municipalities. It has to be reviewed and renewed by the end of 2025, so she wanted members to look at it. It's kind of a high-level thing. I don't know what's going to change.
What contract is it?
It's the joint sewer agreement between, it was originally between the city of Ithaca, the town of Ithaca, and the town of Dryden. But with the Gang of 6 coming along, we were all incorporated as additions to that original agreement. So the next agreement might be worded slightly differently. We won't know yet, but we have an early copy of it. We should already have a copy somewhere of this version, but we're getting ready to start looking at that again. She's still pushing I&I issues to get the village, keep the Village of Cayuga Heights wastewater treatment plant under its 2 million gallons per day limit. Personally, I don't know how you can fix I&I. It's never going to be solved. It's always going to be it's just a rolling target. But we have to try, and I know John and his crew have identified some. We're going to be working on some for the village. Village of Cayuga Heights is considering, but they're unsure about purchasing 10 acres of property next door to the current wastewater treatment plant for future expansion, because the land costs about $1 million, and then they have to spend money to expand. So they're also looking at 2 future diversions. They don't call them bypasses anymore. They call them diversions. One is at Remington Road to the Ithaca area wastewater treatment plant, and another from the town of Ithaca. And so I'm saying that, my point in this meeting was, instead of focusing on diversions or expanding the wastewater treatment plant at Village of Cuyahoga Heights, do them both for long-term.
Agreed.
But that's kind of contradicting the Klein Road bypass.
Well, the Klein Road bypass is still needed and still used, and no, they've moved beyond that. They now need another one for us, and another one potentially for the town. So it may be that the Klein Road bypass could still be used and replace the Remington Road, but the town of Ithaca needs another bypass, and they could make a bypass between them and the Ithaca area. But let's look at both of Remington and Ithaca areas, see if one or both of those are needed, and expand the Village of Cuyahoga Heights wastewater treatment plan.
The need's not going to decrease, it's only going to increase.
That's what I said. We're looking, the county, the state, and federal governments are looking at ways of expanding housing and for workforce and affordable. People are gonna come in, developers are gonna come in. We have some developments going on now that are going to add volume to the sewer systems. And we need to start planning to solve those now, not wait for things to get bad.
Don't shoot the messenger on this one, but should the village think about looking at that piece of land itself, Lansing?
The property is,
Lowry property, just north of, it's the old Lowry property. Our flow meter sits on there. I'm just saying, I mean, if you have to, okay.
no, I want the Village of Cuyahoga Heights to take responsibility for increasing their property. They need to bite that bullet. Now, we're probably gonna help pay for it, but they need to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the rates will go up, but they need to take the responsibility and plan and engineer that. I don't want to put that work on our village. They are getting money from everyone. They should be putting money aside and back to do this work. And they need to do that part. That needs to be done. The bypasses help, but we need to go with a complete solution, not a partial solution.
Are they still thinking about pulling town of Ithaca off and sending them completely to the city?
That's what the diversion from the town of Ithaca would do.
Because that would definitely lighten their load if all the town of Ithaca's flow went to the city of Ithaca.
And I can't remember the guy's name from the city of Ithaca wastewater treatment plant, said that their daily load, maximum daily load, is approximately 16 million gallons. They are currently at about 3.5. So they could take on a lot more.
I think their fluff factor of infiltration is 5-1 though in the city of Ithaca. And ours is 2-1 here. So that's actually good, 2-1. So
Yeah, no,
2 gallons that gets treated, one of them is caused by rainwater.
infiltration and inflow.
Yeah.
Infiltration. But anyway, I'm going to push that they do both. And
Because that land is so valuable to them. I mean, that's where our main trunk line comes down through.
yeah, and if they don't make a decision soon, someone else is going to buy that property.
Absolutely.
Developer's going to buy it. What they're going to be able to do with that property next to a sewer plant, I don't know.
That was a big thing. They asked, the original developer asked if they could tap into our main, and it's out of town district, and I run it by the engineers, and there's so much, there's over like 750,000 gallons a day that goes down through there from the village, that if they tapped into it being downhill, something happened,
Yeah,
that's a transmission main at that point. Leave it alone. It's not for just,
I agree.
distribution or whatever.
Yeah, it would be a development nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a perfect solution, perfect location for expanding the Village of Cuyahoga Heights wastewater treatment plant. They need to bite the bullet and do it. The other thing I recommended at that meeting was the Village of Cuyahoga Heights have complained that they've applied for federal grants or state grants, and they get turned down because they have no need. In other words, they don't have any lower income housing that would benefit from that grant. I've said it before, and I said it again at this meeting, we need to do a joint application with all of the group of 6, with all of our needs into one grant and solve it that way, rather than do individual and get turned down because you don't have enough need. We are servicing the needs of underserved communities within all of our municipalities, pieces at a time, so we need to do a joint application. Nothing was said by the Village of Cuyahoga Heights, but I think that a group of 6 is gonna have to push for this, because I'm not sure they're willing to do that, but we need to do that. So my last topic, Bolton Point, Southern Cuyahoga Lake Intermunicipal Water Commission. We adopted the budget for the 2020, or the schedule for the 2025 budget. They're going to have many meetings between now and August to put together that budget, and they will arrive at a new water rate. No idea at this point what that is. So no later than August 8th, the commission will vote on the proposed budget and the water rate. And once that's done, the recommended deadline for our village to approve that new water rate is, in other words, we have to agree to do this, is December 16th. And that is, they recommended that because that is the best date in December, so that they can put all the pieces together to make our first 2025 water bills at the new rate. So just give you a heads up, that's been going on, so. That's it for me, too. Any questions? Okay, all right. And I think I will move that we adjourn.
Second.
Susan seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all.